So look what just came in the mail. What is it? I've been seeing these all-in-one grow boxes online for a while. People have been making videos about them, but I've never really been interested in them because, first of all, they're small, and I honestly felt like they weren't going to cut it. But recently I moved into an apartment and I made a video about that, and VivoSun saw the video. They reached out, they said, hey, the V-Grow is perfect for you. Why don't you give it a try? I was hesitant, but I thought, you know what? Maybe it is. And VivoSun sponsored this video, but I'm going to give it to you how it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to let you make the decision. But the question is, can it cut it? My whole goal is to grow quality. I'm not interested in growing anything less than. How does V-Grow stack up to this? I don't know. Let's take a look. So the V-Grow is supposed to be an all-in-one plug-and-play unit. The V-Grow has an integrated circulation system. It's got an exhaust fan, light. It senses temperature, humidity. It even has a water reservoir with water level meter. And all of this stuff is controlled under presets. So all you have to do is press a button and boom, it goes. Oh, you were in seedling stage? There you go. Vegging? Flowering? Just press that button. And the idea is that you don't need to know how to grow in order to grow. And that idea sounds really attractive to new growers. And I can talk about the features all day, but all that does is makes this an advertisement. And there's really only a few requirements when growing indoors. 1, you need a space where you can control the environment, temperature and humidity. The space also has to allow you to control light cycles. And this is mostly important during the night cycle. You don't want any light leaks. 2, you need fresh air and air circulation. Fresh air brings in CO2. Air circulation strengthens plant branches. It also disperses stagnant pockets of humidity and odor. Air movement can also affect the transpiration of the plant, so it's really important. 3, exhaust. And yeah, this is part of the circulation, but it's a really important part because you have to remove stagnated hot air in order to maintain the right environment. Exhaust is also usually your #1 source of odor control. And 4, sufficient light source. Light is super important to plants, and the light affects the health of the plant, the flower size, and even the taste and aroma. So let's unbox this thing and see what it's all about. All right, so let me tell you right off the bat, because I'm going to be as real as possible. The box is not very stealthy. I mean, it's VivoSun. You can't really tell what VivoSun is. At the bottom, it says V-Grow. I guess it's kind of vague, but I would much rather prefer just a plain box. I don't know if that's an option with VivoSun, but if it's not, it should be. So once you open the larger box, you're going to find a whole bunch of smaller boxes. It's almost like you're a little kid and it's Christmas Day. And that might be what the intention is. You get a kick of endorphin every time you open a box. It's like mind control, man. Yeah, but it's a lot easier to put things together when the components are organized. So I really do appreciate this. The first box I opened up was the accessories box. And I hate to admit it, but I got excited right away. You know, a lot of people take this small stuff for granted, but it's definitely necessary. Most of the stuff right here, you use on a daily. You got a measuring container, you got a trellis net, you got plant ties, which you can pretty much use for everything. The box also has a pair of shears, whatever the hell these things are. I never figured it out. It also has these magnetic hooks, and also the temperature probe. The supply box has a 3-gallon fabric pot, a cocoa coir brick, and cocoa is great because you can use it organically or with hydroponics. You also get these small gardening tools, synthetic liquid nutrients, and these badass little humidity domes. You use these in the seedling stage. Yeah, and you can use clear plastic cups, but these are pretty cool. VivoSun also gives you a whole box of these cheapo latex gloves, but you know what, they're free and I'm sure I'll get some use out of them. The next box is the most important part of the system. This is the Smart Top, and it houses all the important components like the lighting, the exhaust. It has all the sensing inputs, and it even has the control unit. It's kind of heavy too, so don't drop it. I mean, like, not heavy, but more than I expected. After that is the base, and the base along with the Smart Top hold the whole thing together. The base also holds the reservoir. The last box are the post and the system skin. And of course the manual is also included. It's got some information on the different stages, operation of the smart unit, and how to assemble the whole unit. And this unit's really easy to assemble, so I'm not going to go throughout. It's basically just 4 posts, a top and a bottom. It's 6 pieces plus the skin. This video I'm playing is off the VivoSun YouTube channel, by the way. I left the link in the description section. One thing that I noticed that I should mention is that the skin is actually really thick. It's made of some kind of rubber material. It's a lot different than any grow tent I've ever grown in. But boom, just like that, you got a fully assembled working unit. If I was to rate how difficult it is to assemble this unit, from 1 to 10, I'd give this a 3. The Smart Top is a command center. It pretty much monitors and controls the whole unit. The screen displays inside and outside temperature and humidity. It also lets you know if the fan's on, if the exhaust is on, and what preset the system is currently on. There's a few more alerts and alarms I didn't mention, but these are what are important to me as a grower. But manual operation on this head unit is very limited. It really only allows you to switch through the presets and also change the time. And the system already comes programmed with 4 presets: seedling, veg, flowering, and drying. And each one of these presets is programmed to control the environment according to the stage of that plant's life. It controls light intensity, light spectrum, wind cycles, and temp and humidity. And in my opinion, the factory presets are okay. Not really the environment I grow in, but you could grow in these environments. But the VGrow also has an app, and the app gives you a lot more control. With the app, you can modify their existing presets or create your own. The app also logs data, and to be 100% honest with you, being able to look back on my data and my grows has made me a much better grower. So I love this feature. The light looks impressive. It's bright. It's also really small. In my experience with small LED grow lights, the light's very focused. It doesn't get much spread. And what I worry about with small lights like this is a hot spot in the center and dimmer light towards the outside. So I'm going to use a PAR meter to check the light footprint at the bottom of the VGrow. PAR stands for photosynthetically active radiation, and this is the range of light spectrums that the plant can actually absorb. The PAR meter I own was not designed for LEDs. It only really registers up to 650, and LED lights can go up to 700. But it should give us a good idea where the hotspots are. So in the corner it registers about 190. The corners are always the dimmest part of the grow tent, but as I move closer to the center, I'm not getting much of a change, which tells me that the light coverage is pretty even. But we're pretty far away from the light source, so it makes sense according to the inverse square law. This is the Pulse Pro. It's a spectrometer and a PAR meter. This one's a lot more accurate. I measured again 1.5 feet from the floor, dead center in the seedling stage with the light turned up to 100%. I got 764 micromoles. That's pretty intense and a lot more than the seedling stage requires. The default Vivo Sun presets have it down at 60% light, which makes sense. When I switched to veg, it gave me 794.5. And flowering got up to 834 in the same location. In my opinion, that's right within range because I usually like my light to be between 600 and 1000 in the flowering stage. But remember, the closer you are to the light source, the more focused the light is, so the corners are going to have a bigger drop off, right? And it does, because the inverse square law is never wrong. What really impressed me was the amount of electricity that this light takes. It only uses 104 watts. That's like a light bulb. LED technology has come a long way. So yes, this light is sufficiently intense for the space you're growing in. There's an air intake at the bottom of the tent, and the exhaust fan is integrated to the Smart Top. It exhausts out the back of the unit, and this creates a negative pressure situation inside the tent, where the pressure of the exhaust causes fresh air to be pulled in from the bottom. And this is a very common way of doing it, but it's also very dependent on the room that you're in. And that's because the temperature control and the presets turn on the exhaust fan to try to cool down the room. And where does the fresh air come from? The room that the VGrow is in. So if the VGrow is in a room where it's 80 degrees, it's going to pull in 80-degree air. And if it's warm and humid inside the tent, then it's going to exhaust that into the room where the VGrow is in. People have made whole videos on how to manage this. And in my opinion, the best way to manage this is to keep that lung room a little bit lower in temperature and humidity than the actual grow room. The VGrow also has an integrated carbon filter that's supposed to help with odor. It's right in line with the exhaust fan, so all the air that's exhausted has to pass through this carbon filter. And it may help with some organic odors, but there's some plants out there that are pretty smelly. I lit some incense in the room and I turned on the exhaust fan, and after a few minutes, I could smell it. But it wasn't as intense as if I was burning it in the room, so it does help a little bit. Sometimes odor is not a problem, especially if you live in a state or in a place where it's okay. But if it is a problem for you, then I would suggest investing into a secondary form of odor control. The water reservoir is exactly 1 gallon, and it uses these shoelaces as a wicking system. If you're growing organically, this would be great, but I've just never seen anybody use nutrients in a system like this before. And then again, I'm not a nutrient guy, so there you go. But VivoSun also has an upgrade with a pump and drippers, and this can also be controlled by the presets. This is an awesome upgrade, and I'm probably going to get one soon. So does the VGrow cut it? Can you actually grow from start to finish in this system?
And the answer is a potential yes.
Yeah, the VGrow has its unique challenges, but all systems do. I don't know if you can pull 10 ounces of tomatoes at this thing, but I can definitely pull 3 or 4 ounces of tomatoes. I feel like this is a good system for a beginner. One of the bigger challenges would be to keep that lung room at a certain temperature. I also feel like guys living in cooler states would have an easier time than guys living in hotter states like Arizona, let's say. And because the grow space is so small, managing your plant through training would be very important. And these types of systems are fairly new, so I could see these evolving into something that even a grower with high volume would use. Imagine a 3x3 VGrow with 6-inch round intake and exhaust ports, maybe a 30-gallon deep water culture bubbling system, and who knows, maybe even a built-in air conditioner and CO2 injector. I mean, technically it wouldn't take that much to make that happen. The framework's already there. So yeah, the VGrow is the future, and I can't wait to see what comes next. My name's Hank, aka Cali Green, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.